다시 부게 주신 주메터 참 리라등신 인대겐바디 상해 생주면 주변은 나싱나 주바쇼 기람기루라나 만달라 감리라타야미. Now from here is the Mahayana great practitioners. Up to now it has been, I want something, I do not want something, my happiness, I and my. Come first all the time in the practices that we have been speaking about. From here you have to change it. I want for other beings. Others and I come together. Now you are a Mahayana great practitioner. If you do anything, it's for other beings. You're thinking of the benefit of the other person. So you cannot think that directly in the sense that the basis is yourself. It is your activity. You want it for the other person, but the basis is yourself. You will benefit, but your motivation is for others. You will benefit, but your motivation is for others. The basis is yourself, and the activity is for the other person. So the main purpose, thinking of others all the time, at this point, you have to change your attitude to a Mahayana great practitioner attitude. What is that? Huh? What is it? Oh. It's not like a video thing, huh? I'm only kidding. Okay. So how do you change it? Like what do you really do to change it? Is the question. Rangni siso hongwa jishin du margo jowa kunkenden jowa tone jowa jowe kyokirwe janchu semcho jongpa jingilo. You have to use your experience. Your situation as an example. That all beings are similar to me. They want the same things. They want to escape suffering, and they want to have happiness. All others are in pain like me in this suffering realm. You need to consider you are not the only one experiencing it. All of us have slipped and fallen in the sea of this suffering life. Bless me to see that every living being, everyone my own mother, has fallen into. Grant me then to practice this highest wish for enlightenment, to take on myself the task of freeing them all. You must make the wish for that, because it's very difficult to be free from that. Jishindu, like me, Margojoa, all sentient beings are like my mother, have been my mother. We're all the same. I am only one, but beings are countless. So if your motivation is for just one, or if your motivation is for the countless beings, you tell me what is greater. That number is much more than actually you could ever imagine. And we think that they have been kind to me as much as my mother. We always say mother first before father, because the mother had that extra 9 months involved in the whole situation. So the mother is just that much What do you think? Higher, actually. Right? Lama, mother, father. And it's the one that gave birth to you, regardless. There's a certain something. And then I suppose if you had a different mother and father, then the birth ones would be right there, the next. It's because something of their body was involved in giving you life. Okay? Therefore, this time I must repay them, because every sentient being is like those that have given me this life. I must repay that kindness. I beg you, my Lama, my angel, to give me your blessing, so that I and every other living being, all of them my own mother, may reach an extraordinary realization of how important my spiritual opportunities and resources and how hard they are to find. These beings are tightly bound by chains of karma, continues to be swept along the river of mental afflictions. They say we're trapped in the cage of self-existence and in a state of darkness, of ignorance. So trying to bring all the happiness to all the beings, I will take that responsibility as a Mahayana great practitioner. See, that's when I will take responsibility. So to do that, in this situation, in this situation, this body, this life, I cannot do it. Therefore, in order to bring them all the happiness that they need, I cannot do it right now. What can I do? A Buddha can do it. So therefore, I must reach Buddhahood for the benefit of them only. Then will I be able to remove all the suffering and give all the happiness. Then that's the mind of bodhicitta. After renunciation, you gain bodhicitta. How to develop that? To generate the wish in prayer and then generate the wish in action is the root of gaining bodhicitta. To get out of this ocean full of these sufferings, the ocean, the waves of death and sickness and health and sickness and death and birth and again and again and again, right? Unsatisfactory waves. They're continuous. We have to think that each being has this close relationship with us. You do spend more time in the day helping those that are close to you. We all do. Alright, what's that saying? Family, blood, water, what's that thing? Yeah, he's good on it. It's like that Italian thing, right? What is it again?
Blood is thicker than water.
Yeah, and we all do that, really. Most of us do. We're helping those that are close to us. So if we could see that every single being is close to us, can you imagine? If I could really think of everyone as I think of my mother, I always say I'd be set. I'd be set, really, if I could do that. Be busy. But that's the point, right? That's what we're talking about, right? Every activity you do is for others, right? So then I would be really doing it. Two forms, right? The wishing bodhicitta, engaged bodhicitta practice. Wishing bodhicitta is a willingness to achieve the higher goal. You not only wish that goal you're not only wishing for that goal, but you need to strengthen it, to pursue it, to achieve that goal. So to do so, you develop the practice of the 6 perfections, which is engaging and taking action to help. We're talking about the Bodhisattva vows here, a Bodhisattva code of life. That's next. If you gain actual bodhicitta, then you finish your practice of generating it, right? But then you still have to develop it, jangpo, to gain it, then develop it. Just wanting them to be free is not enough. Not enough. You must feel personal responsibility. I will do that. Klaksam Namdak. So that is the beginning of the Mahayana mind, the great practitioner. Grant me then to practice this highest wish for enlightenment, to take on myself the task of freeing them all. If you want to pursue Buddhahood, it is indispensable to develop the mind that seeks enlightenment. Once you do that, they say you have entered the ranks, of the great practitioner, of the bodhisattvas. It entitles you to be considered a child of the Buddhas. All the Buddhas are happy when you reach this point and do that. All the Buddhas are happy. Sensam Kerang Sutrin Namsum La Gongpa Mena Janchu Mindrupa Lekpa Tone Gelse Dompa La Sunpa Drakpu Lopa Jingi Lob. Bless me to see clearly that the wish itself is not enough. For if I am not trained in the 3 moralities, I cannot become a Buddha. Grant me then a fierce resolve to master the vows for the children of the victors. The wish is not enough. You need to engage. You need to take action. You know that. You can wish for many things, and it's good. You should. Please, make your wishes as big as possible. But really, to make them happen, you have to do something. You have to engage. You have to be active. There has to be an imprint, seeing, feeling, hearing that you're doing it. The imprint is bigger then, rather than just wishing it. That's an imprint too in your mind. But when you experience yourself doing it, it's a different, more powerful imprint. Then if you have a certain motivation in your mind when you're doing it, even bigger. And then you want to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, more powerful virtue. So they say here the 3 moralities. And just briefly, to restrain from engaging in misdeeds, where you restrain from the top 10, and some of the bodhisattva vows actually. Not harming others is the general underlying. A second morality, collecting virtue. So this is where you start to take actions to help others as much as possible. Giving, 6 perfections, giving, not getting upset, joyful effort in all the virtue you do, concentration, so on. The third morality is benefiting others. Keeping an ethical, way of living and practicing the 6 perfections always to benefit others. So it's not being practiced for yourself. And these must be put into practice and to how do you say, to do it with conviction, to put it into practice, but that is when you take the bodhisattva vows. You take them in that way. You recognize the role of how morality, how living a certain code of life, how it plays out for your Buddhahood. Lekbak Tonegil say, Dompala, the child of a Buddha, bodhisattvas. Practice daily, and your mind becomes used to it. You will then achieve your goals. If you when you're working on something, you just you do it again and again. You practice. If your mind itself doesn't become like that, then you won't achieve it. So your mind has to get used to this kind of thinking. It just has to get used to it. Sometimes it's, I don't know, it's like, sometimes it may seem like you're just saying the words, or something, but you're not really feeling it. It's a part of the process. Even if you just bring it to mind, I'm doing this for others, I'm doing this for others, however you can, just get your mind used to it. And then whenever you have a feeling in your mind about, I'm doing this for others, right? Try to expand it, like an exhale. Try to see how long that'll last. That also helps you to get used to it. Whenever the real feeling comes up, just try to let it go and go and go until, of course, something else comes into your mind. And then it's gone. Get your mind used to this kind of thinking. I am doing this for the benefit of others. Lokpe yula yengwa shije ching, yangdak dunla sushin chupa yi, shine haktung sungdu joe lam, nudu yula kewa jingilob. Grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together. One which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. They say, like birds have two wings, without them they can't fly. They can't go any distance in the sky. Similarly, we are going to fly to Buddhahood. You need two strong wings. Our right wing is bodhicitta, our left, which is the first 5 perfections, and then our left wing is wisdom. Practicing these two together is how you're going to fly to Buddhahood. Then how do you practice? Hey, you got these wings. Now how do you practice it? The main practice is shinhe, and laktung, concentration and wisdom. Shinhe laktung sungdu jero lam. Shine, shamatha. Perfect concentration. Klaktung, vipassana, right? Deep wisdom, which is perceiving emptiness.
Is the 6 perfections and wisdom together, or the left and right wings?
Answer.
The first 5 perfections are bodhicitta, nekka bodhicitta, and the last 6th perfection is wisdom.
Thank you. Ultimately, first you practice staying in deep meditation, right? Then you use it with wisdom. And that wisdom is making clear the concentration to the mind. Ultimately doing that, then sometimes you can achieve both of them. single pointed concentration and insight wisdom joined together. To achieve that, you have to focus on the right object. If you're on the wrong object, you will never see the real nature of phenomena. You have to have the quietude perfect to your mind. Then to understanding very well emptiness. Lope yula yengwa shi ching. Lope yula. Wrong object. Things that are not proper objects of meditation. Wrong ideas of meditation is included in this. For example, to stare with your eyes on an object, or watching your breath for the sake of watching breath as a goal, rather than using it as a preliminary to calm your mind down to meditate. Lope yula yengwa shi ching. Meditation involves concentration of the mind, right? We can say that easily. And from withdrawing from the objects of the senses. Not focusing on the sense of the breath. You see? You will not be able to withdraw your focus from the senses if you're spending too much time focusing on the sense of the breath. Just think about that. So it will not be an object to focus on for very long, because it will not bring you to a deep state of meditation where you can then see the real nature of phenomena, emptiness, directly. So the wrong objects, they say, are, let's say, anything that you're seeing, things you are experiencing with your physical sense. And ultimately, the wrong object is seeing things as self-existent. Self-existent body, self-existent mind, self-existent other, self-existent... I think that covers it all, right? Self-existent. When you are visualizing something with your mind, you're not looking at the colors and shapes as they appear to you as when you're looking at objects with your mind, because you're just visualizing, right? Eyes are closed, we're visualizing. We're not looking at the colors and shapes as they appear to you as self-existent parts that you see it out there. You're visualizing through imagination. It's a different use of the mind. They're mental shapes and colors. When you see emptiness directly, you're not conceptualizing anything. So even then, when you're visualizing shapes and colors and stuff, you're not in that deep state of seeing emptiness directly. Seeing emptiness is the perception of the absence of a self-existent object.
Could you repeat that?
Seeing emptiness directly is the perception of the absence of a self-existent object. So also when they say yengwa, to that wrong object, having distracted to wrong objects, keeping your mind with those wrong objects and wandering off to objects that don't serve you actually make things worse for you. then you cannot achieve this insight and wisdom, Haktong. Shijie Ching, you have to remove it from your mind. How? By seeing emptiness directly. Make a perfect object to your mind. Understand perfectly emptiness with concentration. Focus and keeping on the right object. Shine, to stay in peace. Shi, peace, to have peace. May I put a permanent rest to any tendency that I may wander off to the wrong object. Perfect single-pointed concentration. Concentrating on one object. You are single-minded. One object. Tingnezin. It's an intensity of your focus. It's not necessarily a peaceful mind. It's an intensity of your focus. Shine. The intense ability to concentrate on something. Is that a goal in itself?
No.
Why not? No. Why not? Doesn't take you far enough. Right. It's also easy to get. Hard. Rinpoche used to always say, one of his favorite pastimes, besides Dharma, of course, baseball players have it. The intensity of that focus, right? That's why some people don't like to watch baseball, right? Because for hours, it seems like they're just standing there looking. There's not enough action, right? They have that. And yes, how far will that get you? Right? So you can get it about almost anything that you do. You can have it towards any object. Now, granted, that's a great... If we all had that, we could be playing baseball in a great manner as they do. It's not so easy to get. And you can see where it's a great skill. Okay? So it is required. But it is not a goal in itself. So developing an intense ability to concentrate, it will in some way have those side effects of being peaceful. Because you know it when you're really focused, you're really concentrating, just in general, right? You're feeling a little more peaceful. You feel peaceful after almost any meditation, generally speaking. Right? It's a side effect, residual, not a goal. Don't need to be a goal, because you know what? It'll happen. You will feel that. And it's good. It'll probably help you in your patience practice or something. Along the way, it will feel good. And that platform actually is from which that shine is where you're going to see emptiness directly. You need that platform.
So you always have to go through that first, right? The concentration and the visualization, and eventually let that go. You can't go.
Well, because you won't be able to see emptiness directly while you're focusing on certain objects, and because you're conceptualizing, right? You're focusing on an object.
But I have to go to step 1 and 2.
You need that deep, yeah. You do. Yeah. Absolutely. Because you know how hard it is. You know how long you might even meditate. Whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's a half hour, whether it's an hour. Out of that time that you have put aside to meditate, how much of that is single-pointedly on the object? You know. Meditation, there's the fixation meditation, right? Jokam, right? Fix the mind on the object. You get a mental picture of your lama. You get a mental picture of like if you're doing Tonglen, you have a mental picture of the person you're doing the practice with, and so on. Right? Virtuous objects we're talking about in this situation. Although your mind can be fixed on any object, we're going to stick to virtuous objects. Visualizing things, you start with the outline of it, and you fill in the color, and then the breath. You have this being come alive, like the visualization we did in the Gandha Nigama. We started with this one object. Suddenly, the lotus is in a globe. Then it has a text on it. Then a sword, and then it just got bigger and bigger. Okay, but we were concentrating on this object. Fixation meditation. Then at some point, even in that meditation, we moved to the review meditation, Qigong, right? Where what did the lotus mean? What did the flaming sword? It was a pink lotus, right? Flaming sword. Now we're reviewing, analyzing something, trying to problem solve. Why do I even need to think of a flaming sword? Or, now that's review meditation, which is very, very important. You hear certain ideas, and then you have to sit and meditate about it like that. But you can also actually do that anywhere, right? You could do that anytime, anywhere. Of course, it will be different when you're withdrawing from certain objects of the senses versus, when you're on your cushion, than when you're doing that kind of a review, analyzing, while you're out and about doing things. There's a little depth that might be different. But it's like you debate it in your mind. It's a very important process. But you're making it clear to your mind. It's the idea of why it's a meditation practice, is because what you're doing is you're making the object clear to your mind. It's becoming clearer to your mind by this process, by this analytical process, this review process. It may seem very confusing at some points because you're so much in that process that it's not clear, but eventually it will. Just keep going. And sometimes you will stay on an object for quite some time, months, right? Before you might feel some clarity. Years, in some ways. You do retreats over and over, and it's with the same objects. In each retreat, it gets clearer and clearer, And then you go over those series of thoughts in your mind. It becomes habitual to your mind. Second nature. Sharbon, right? Sort of creates a pattern in your mind. So, based on that kind of concentration, the wisdom which develops the correct object. Yangdak Dunla. Yandak Dunla, emptiness, ultimate reality. Yandak, pure. Dunla, object. It's describing the direct perception of emptiness, emptiness of self-existence, the perfect object. The highest concentration is focus on the object of ultimate truth. To do this focus, you have to have some understanding and meaning of ultimate truth. Understanding of emptiness. With this understanding of emptiness, it becomes a focus of meditation. It is this particular focus of shine you need to cultivate. That correct understanding of emptiness becomes object of one-pointed concentration, and that shamatha as a basis. You further your meditation analysis, to penetrate deeply, you use Lakton, insight, vipassana. They have to go together. Right? Vipassana is not a meditative state. It is a state of reasoning or perception of an object. Shamatha is the means. Vipassana is the content, the analytical state of mind with which you examine the object. You are glued to because of the shamatha. Shamatha, right? That single-pointed mindedness that which is imbued with the exceptional bliss of practice ease due to deep single-pointed meditation on its object. It focuses on the object one-pointedly. And due to that ability to concentrate, it brings on a feeling of bliss, physical and mental bliss. That is not a goal unto itself. You will still get old and die. Vipassana, Lakton, right? It's that wisdom which is full of the exceptional bliss of practiced ease by the power of the analysis of the object, and which founded upon quietude. Right? It's okay. This subject we can talk about for a long time, but this is the step of the path that you are at now when you reach this point in your practice. And this is what you need to know. In this verse, it is saying, it is not only when it talks about wrong object, they're also talking about the wrong object, about seeing emptiness. And here it means to be properly meditating on emptiness. Emptiness is a negative. It cannot have a color. It is an absence of a self-existent thing, the thing we deny. And you may know wrong ideas of emptiness. I mean, we could say a couple, right? Emptiness is not that blackness. See that big black hole. That is not emptiness. How would that help you anyhow? Probably concentrating on in baseball would be a little more helpful. At least some people are getting some enjoyment from it or something. I don't know. Often emptiness can be thought of as thinking, like to describe something, like this object is not a pot, it is a cup. Because it is not what it appears to me. So we can say that it is the opposite of what it is, or something else than what it is. That is not emptiness. That is not emptiness. Okay? I mean, you could perceive that any time. You can think, that's not a pot. It doesn't take a deep state of meditation to realize that it's not a cookie. But it's negating the fact that it is a cup. You see why, and which is emptiness. Yeah, you see, that's why. But anyway. So easily one can, yeah. Also, it's to think that emptiness is a kind of illusion. To think that people around you aren't real. Very dangerous.
These are all the wrong view of emptiness.
These are all wrong. Please. Wrong. to think that they aren't real. You tell me, all those people that just drive you crazy all day long, they're not real. Okay? That is not emptiness. Things are an illusion, that because, they are not real. It is real because it is your projection.
Is it true that emptiness is the absence of a self-existent thing, or is that another thought?
Oh. We'll get back to that. Hold that thought, okay?
Okay.
That's what happens, you get all these wrong views, and then now you got to sit here and say, okay, what's the right view? That's why it distracts you. Seriously. To think that emptiness is that aware quality of the mind. The quality of an awareness of the mind. Some might say the luminosity of the mind. That's a wrong idea about seeing emptiness. It is the absence of a self-existent thing. Is that what you said? Yeah. Simply put, let's just keep it simple. That's simple, okay? It's a negative. That's why it cannot be those things that we just said, because those things are positive. So you're always checking and examining that, during a meditation time.
This is in the vipassana stage, right? This is in the vipassana stage when I analyze emptiness, what it's not.
Yeah.
If your projection of something is uncomfortable for you and causes suffering, how do you turn it around? How do you, how do we change our mind and get, do we bless the, we have to look at the person of the Buddha?
There's a lot of Band-Aid techniques that you can do at the moment.
Right.
But why don't you just take this ultimate view, since we're talking about that now, and at that moment, as much as you can, just realize that they are not whatever you are seeing them as at that moment, that they are not that self-existently. And think that their mother must see something else. And that'll cut through what's happening at that moment. It'll just cut through. And we could give you a bunch of Band-Aid, things of what one can do, how to turn the mind around. But you know what? Why don't you just cut to the emptiness of it at this point?
But as you become more enlightened, that won't show up in your world?
As you become enlightened. As you are enlightened. What is your question? You'll think I had to rephrase that. Thanks. Next.
What do you mean by negative?
Absence of. How's that?
Isn't that still fucking on like a dualistic?
No, it's the absence. That's it.
But if it's absent, then it's comparing to something that was there. So it's like
when you're in the direct perception, you're in the absence of it. It's not there. It's not there. At that moment, for example, like what she was just describing, you are seeing this object outside of yourself as you're trying to think that it has this absence of its self-existent nature. Yes, you are still in that dualistic thinking at that moment, but not when you're in the direct perception of emptiness.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So, yes, we are bringing about that thought, and you're still in that duality, absolutely, at that time. But you want to get to the point in which you are not, of course. That's the key. So, very big subject. And actually, I had much more on it, and it was, I don't know, 4 in the morning, and then I came to the phrase, and it said, pray to your Lama to get these extraordinary practices quickly. And that's what we're praying for here. I'm like, which part of that, should I teach? And I had a lot of information. There's a lot. This you should study, okay? You really should study this. You should take the time. You need zillions of hours. And then at the end, somehow this verse popped out of me, and it said that, and I was like, oh. And I prayed. So you'll get it another time. It's saved somewhere in another file. You pray, please give me that.
There's a title for it?
Emptiness. Meditation. Yes, and what you'll be requesting, you must ask them, please teach you again and again and again. We need to be at that place where that practice is going pretty well, really understanding it pretty well before you move to the next level, stage of the Lamrim. You must understand emptiness very well before you move into the way of the diamond. You must. There is no other way to practice it. No other way to practice it. You have to have that understanding.
Intellectually or direct?
Intellectually. Of course, if you have the other, then that's fine. But we're talking intellectually here. Okay? Vajrayana. That's the next verse. We're moving from the great Mahayana practitioner to Vajrayana. Grant that once I've practiced well the paths shared and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, highest of all ways, holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and the good. Tunman lamjung nudu gyurpana, tekwa kungi choku doji tekil sange rejuk nu dampa dede, lak nidu jukpa chingilo. Right? You made your mind strong by thinking about your future life's happiness. Beginning practitioner. You want to live a happier life tomorrow because you recognize all your leisure fortunes, all that we went through, right? And then your aim is like, okay, well, I want to get out of the suffering. I just want to end it. And we went through, doing that, and then you have to do it for others. Some bodhicitta, I want to get out, do it for others. That's all with that you have a certain renunciation and so on, preparation. Now you can enter into the Vajrayana. Tunmang lamjung nudu gyurpana. First you must prepare yourself in the path which is shared. Common path, shared path. Common path with the small, medium, and greater that we went through. Greater Sutrayana, sorry. So up to here you finish practicing or generating the shared paths for the Sutrayana practice. Then you become qualified to enter into the Tantric way, Gyurpana. Jason Kappa says, Tunman lamjung du no du Gyurpana. You must become a proper vessel. By practicing the path that is shared by the Mahayana open and Mahayana secret practices, you actually have to go through all these steps that we just went through. You have to review like this. Even before, like say you're ready, you should just even go through this whole review right before to make sure you're that proper vessel. Once more, you do it before you enter the way of the diamond. It's tradition. You need to have this kind of a teaching right before you're ready to enter the door. Tekpa kungi chokyu doje tek. Then you must enter the diamond way when you have become qualified. So among all those vehicles, smaller, medium, and greater, Chokyor, the best vehicle is Dorje Tekpa. Dorje is Vajra, Tek, vehicle, the Vajra vehicle. Example. Easy way. If you want to go to California, Sutriana way, you go with your 2 feet. Walking. It takes a long time. Very difficult. Small vehicle. Then, if you drive, it's a medium vehicle. A little bit better, but still takes a long time. Then the Vajra vehicle is the airplane. Very quick, comfortable. So the tantric field is, the paths are like an airplane. When you become a vessel who's practiced both the shared and then seek beyond that, the supreme form of all vehicles is the way of the diamond, which does not require those countless eons that it will take if you practice otherwise. We talked how fragile this life is as a sea froth of an ocean wave, how quickly it will happen. Do you have time to walk to California? How long would that take? It's a long time. Do we have time? Really? We barely have time to walk uptown to downtown when we're trying to get somewhere. And you could walk Manhattan in a couple of hours. I mean, we're taking buses and taxis, and, you know, we barely have that kind of time. We're gonna, you know time is precious. You know that. If you care about other people, you must practice this path. It's not a question of, am I ready? Or I'm a little afraid. There shouldn't be any thought like that. If you care for any being on this planet, you must practice this unique path. If you care for one being on this planet, you must. As soon as someone is willing to teach you, you cannot do it alone. No way can you do it alone. Kelsang wu juknu dampa der, which can only be entered by those who are good and virtuous. Kelsang, great person of great virtue, great fortune. Generally, we're talking here the Bodhisattva, Mahayana Bodhisattva, right? Kewui, practitioners, those kind of beings, Bodhisattvas who develop bodhicitta. The entry point they should seek in the diamond way to achieve the highest goal. Juknyok, the holiest door. Dampa, best. The best entrance is the way of the diamond. So Jason Kopp is explaining what you need to enter this holiest door. Virtue, fortune, goodness. You have to have enough kelwa, or you can't enter. That is why it's the secret path. It's a self-keeping secret. Nobody made it secret. It's just secret. It's secret from you until you have enough virtue to see it, to be on it. It's just secret. You won't understand it. It'll be in front of your face, and you won't get it until you have enough virtue to get it. The door or the gate, right? You could think, can be here in this room. It could be to the left of me right now, and you could not go in if you don't keep that special code of living, right? To gather that virtue that you need. You won't have enough. You just won't have enough. I couldn't take you there. You can't force them. You can't. If you don't have it, you don't. No one can show you that. Only you can. Only you can. That's why it is secret. Here we are praying, Delak nidu jupa jingilo. May I enter it easily through your blessing, my Lama. Really easy, like flying in an aeroplane. Right? Delak nidu. Jingilo, please let me enter into the diamond way. Please bless me. And in that sense, you're requesting for an empowerment. Because it does take that process, that empowerment that you have to go through to plant the seeds, to achieve the bodies of a Buddha. The essence of this blessing to enter the mind is the doorway. If your practice of Lam Rim is good up to this point, it will happen easily. It will happen. You will have enough Kelwa or energy just to flow into it easily. Please help me enter it easily. Help me enter the gateway. Who can do that? Your Lama. Your spiritual guide. You need someone to take you into the door of the mandala. And you have to be a person who is ready and meet a person who can grant it to you. The person will be a creation of your virtue. They do not exist without you. And then just remember to say that they are a projection, they are created by your mind, does not mean you could just what? Sit there and imagine them, right? That's a start. Need to do that. Can't just wish it to happen. Forget it. Forget about it. Just forget about it. If you wish real hard, you're going to suddenly get all that virtue. How does it work? What do you really have to do? How are you going to move up the levels in your practice? How does it work? What is it really? Okay, we're saying you need a guide and we need all this, but really, what's going to make it work? This is where emptiness plays a big part. This is where emptiness plays a part. We have to understand emptiness. Just have to. understand it. Spend a lot of time really studying it, analyzing, reviewing, meditating, hearing about it. Otherwise, it just won't work. At this level, this practice won't work. Just won't work. Tete nudrup namni drupashi namdak damsik dompa sungpala chume minpe nipa nigurni soktan dute sungwa jingilo. Bless me to know with genuine certainty that when I've entered thus, the cause that gives me both the attainments is spoken to be keeping my pleasures and vows most pure. Grant me then to always keep them, even if it cost my life. You hear that? He's like, yeah. That stirred something up here. Look at that. He's like, you hear that noise? A little wave, a ripple of something going on there. You should feel that kind of energy. Even if it cost my life. Why? Can that even be said so easily? Yet, your practice is more important than this life. When you get to this highest level, by means of virtue, and then a certain empowerment and so forth, during that time, when you are receiving these blessings, you must remember the purpose is to achieve those temporary goals, ultimate goals. You have to remember why am I even doing this? For what purpose is this happening? Why am I going through this? Why? Some of the ultimate goal is to reach enlightenment for the purpose of all beings. Then there's those temporary goals, and we went through some of them, talking about, you can fly through the sky, you can enter through the ground like a fish enters into water, and so on and so forth. But, certain attainments that are like powers and things like that. But to attain the highest goals, you have to keep your you have to keep your morality pure. It relies on that. Without that, you cannot achieve your goals. Must have pure view as much as you can. Which requires a great understanding of emptiness to have pure view, right? You can try, imagine once in a while, to have that pure being in front of you and so on and so forth, but you can only you just must have understanding of emptiness. That object will not be pure or impure on its own. It is coming from you, your purity, your impurity. You, only you. you want a pure world, you want pure beings around you, then work on yourself, your own purity. That's it. Really. That's it. But to reach these goals, right? You have to understand. You have to have that conviction to keep your vows. Not artificially. Chuma Minpei. A strong understanding about the main source to achieve the goals, to gain that understanding. And after that understanding is very strong, then what do you do? Sokdong dute sungwa. Even at the risk of your life, I will never give up keeping my commitments and vows, my ethical way of living. You have to choose to give up your life to keep it. Do not give up your practice. It is more important than this life. One spiritual practice has a life force to pursue a spiritual life. Okay? So if you have a healthy practice, the life force is strong of that spiritual practice. If it's not pure, if it destroys that life force. If your practice is not, pure, it will destroy it. If you don't keep it purely, then you destroy the life force of that spiritual practice. Nene gyude ning podim niki, nenam jason tokne sung pa yi, tunshi nel jo chuple yelwa, dampe sung shindrupa chingilo. Bless me next to realize precisely the crucial points of both the stages, the essence of the secret ways. Grant me then to practice as the Holy One has spoken, putting all my effort in and never leaving off the practice of the 4 times, highest that there is. Must be all that nectar we have been visualizing. It is now dripping and seeping through the walls. Good practice. Good. Yeah, it's dripping on the wisdom rains are dripping on the city. Good practice. All those clouds, huh? You guys did good job. Ooh, look at that. Wow.
There's nothing leaking upstairs.
What do you think's happening, guys? Come on. Maybe you could pick up that book that's on the floor there. What do you think's happening, really? Huh? What do you think?
We're not going to make it.
A stream, a sacred thread.
Everyone move away from the wall.
We can adjust for a second.
We need to put some towels down on the floor.
Laura, do you know how to save this off. We'll take a break to address the nectar flowing. Okay. Exactly at the moment when our walls began to speak to us here is when I was just about to get into the stages of the secret way, briefly, to let you know where you would be going next with your practice. So it's obvious we need some work here to get there. I could see that easily. Okay? So also know, though, that it's also important you do it right away. Don't say, that's why I am doing this now and saying, let's just do this right away. Okay? Let's not wait till we rebuild the building here, because then you're waiting more. You're building your paradise. This is your mandala leaking. Okay? Maybe that's where the door is and it's trying to open. I don't know. You tell me. It is perfect. Okay? Because it could easily take us into another way of conventionally trying to fix this, or are we going to fix our minds right now? Okay? Think about it. Just really think about it. Okay? So, to achieve our goals, you have to keep the focus. You have to keep the focus. And at this point, you're doing the two stages of the highest practice. One is your creation stage practice. Okay? And that is where you are creating your mandala. So look around you. How much work you have to do. Okay? Just look around you right now. To create something, you're building a world where we're going to be a different kind of being. It takes time, devotion, confidence, effort. So you're building a world where you and others do not have to die. This gradual purification that takes place of your world is the creation stage practice. You can watch it happen if you are fortunate to get the proper teachings. And then you move to the stage of completion. And there's a series of very, very secret practices. And that is the gradual purification of your own being. Right? Your own mental, physical, and spiritual being. And to finish the process of your own being, to become enlightened in this lifetime, changing the nature of you. So you can see we have a lot of work here. We've got to change our world. And the streaming the walls, nectar falling, and our bodies. Okay? And that's where you do the practices within the central channel and so on and so forth. Okay? The psychic energy of the winds and the substances. So those two paths, they say you must do at, there are crucial points that you must go through. And they say 4. The practice of the 4 times. Every day, method of practice, 4 periods a day. It relates to dawn, morning, noon, sunset, noon, what do they call that? Midnight. Okay? Your everyday yoga. That's yours.
The drain was clogged.
Oh. The drain? Did you say the channels were clogged?
Yes, and they purified it.
The main channel is clogged.
Clogged with your impurities. Hi. Amazing. 5 minutes before we... You never know. Welcome. Okay? Dedicate yourself without distraction. Without any break. Continually.
Even as the walls are crumbling around you.
Absolutely. Without a doubt at that moment.
Especially.
Okay? May I practice according to my Lama's instruction continually so I may achieve the realization. There you go. Her channels are opening.
Go, Julie.
Mm-hmm. May I practice as my teachers taught me. As my teachers taught me. At this point, you're saying, because we're coming into the, you have received at this point a lot of teachings. So now you want to really put it, may I practice as I have received so many teachings. So, I gave you just a brief explanation. It is not even nearly detailed enough. But it's enough for the time being. Data lam sang tun pe shen yen dang, su shen ju pe jog nam shap tim ching, chi dang nangi bardu chu pe sok, niwe shi wer jingi lap tu so. Bless me, grant me that the spiritual guide who shows me this good road and all my true companions in this quest live long and fruitful lives. Bless and grant me that the rain of obstacles, things within me or outside me that could stop me now, may they stop and end forever. This is a special prayer. To do it, you need favorable good causes. Then after good causes, Deta Lamsang. After that, the path, the good road. Tunpe, the one who teaches you. Shenyan, qualified Lama who teaches those paths to us. May they live forever.
Amen.
Wishing for the longevity, the long life of your teachers and your fellow practitioners, because you need that support. They are essential to your own success. These teachings are given to you by your holy teachers, and those practitioners are also practicing in the proper manner. May they have longevity and good health. Chidang Nangi Bardu Chupe Suk. Outer obstacles. Chidang Nangi. Inner obstacles. Those obstacles, inner and outer, I request to you that all those inner and outer obstacles disappear. Finish them. Pray that you could eliminate the inner and outer obstacles. Kewa kuntu yandak lama dang jelme chuki pela lanchu ching sadan lamgi yuntun razokne dode changi go kang yor chop shuk. Last verse. Can we recite together, please? In English. In all my lives, may I never live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself the keeper of the diamond. Then this verse comes at the end, and it's always a good omen to leave a little part unfinished. And probably good timing. So rejoice and recite these prayers as much as you can, really. And just know that you should believe in yourself. You are very extraordinary. You will be the next Buddha in your world. You will be a Buddha over a whole universe. You will be the one person in the entire universe that's taking care of everybody, like a mom and a dad, just taking care of them, doing everything for them, helping. To countless beings at one time. No problem. You have that capacity, and you are really very close to it now. You really are. Each and every one of you here. To hear these words, you are very close. Or you wouldn't be here. Okay? You will be taught by a divine being. Know that. Okay? So, rejoice. Sashi-puki Chukshing Metok Cham Rirabling Shi Niende Gempati Sangye Shingdu Mikte Uwa Kidroku Namda Shingla Drupa Shok Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kam Niratayami Kewadi Keokun Sunam Yeshe Sosokshin Sunam Yeshe Lejongwe Tampa Kunishtopa Shok. Thank you. Beautiful job. Thank you. No frustration.